It's Sunday. It's fast approaching 6 o'clock here in the UK, which means 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern. And as always, on a Sunday, Talkin Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. My name's Leonard Sultana. And if you're coming across this stream for the first time, if you're wondering what on earth is going on, well, number one, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Hopefully you'll get something from this show. Yes, if it's the first time you're kind of coming across this and wondering what on earth we do, we talk about Comic Cons and con culture and all the fun and games. We get to enjoy the shows, but it's very much about you. It's about the audience. It's very much a communal thing. As always, it's all about your thoughts and engagement in the show. It's a round robin kind of affair, which means we want to spread this as far and wide as we possibly can, which is why I'm going to be hopefully sharing my certainly the Twitter very shortly. Let's see if I've got that up and running. It should be that I'm live. Want to just make sure that's up on the old Twitters. Yes, it is. Excellent stuff. But we want to spread this out as best we can. So please do let everybody know that we are talking about accommodation today, because this week, of course, we had Hotel Apocalypse kickstart. You could say the official countdown to San Diego Comic-Con. Because from here, we can really start putting together what it is and what we're actually going to be taking from the show this year. As always, thank you very much indeed to everybody who's supported us. We're going to be putting something up. And yes, I know one or two people have been asking, when are we going to be seeing David Glanzer live on the show? Well, we're going to do our best. As soon as we can. There we go. Let's put that up on the old Twitters, so we're all live. Excellent stuff. And of course, our Patreon supporters as well. Without them, we just wouldn't be able to do anything. Oh, it's a bit of a compressed one. I'm going to have to do something about that. But at least the names come up, and that's all well and good. I will say, I mean, I've done what I can to prepare for this episode, but there's always the slight bits and pieces because, of course, it's been Caroline's birthday. Okay, Andrew English won't be talking, streaming for the next hour. And indeed, Into the Blue Mister says, good afternoon, folks. Belated happy birthday to Caroline. She has had a great time. She's had an absolute blast. Not going to lie, it's been so much fun to kind of celebrate with her. So there we go. Right. Let's dive in, shall we? I know it's the bank holiday weekend, so I'll try not to keep you. Hello, guten Tag, and welcome along to Talkin Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. It's a pleasure to have you joining us. My name's Leonard Sultana. Each and every Sunday, talking Comic-Cons, con culture, and all the stuff and nonsense we get to enjoy at such shows, including San Diego Comic-Con, which I think it's safe to say we are definitely in full preparation mode for now. Accommodation was organized, or at least the road to accommodation was organized or got started this week. For those that took part in Hotel Apocalypse, the online sale for hotel rooms, people dived into that. We're going to get into all of that in a second. But those that did, they had their moment to get themselves lined in place for the rooms that they wanted for San Diego Comic-Con. For myself, I put my first half down for my Airbnb. How that's going to play out, and because for now, you know, when you feel that it's just too good to be true and you're just waiting for the penny to drop, that's where I am with my Airbnb, and it's Airbnb as well. We'll get into this as part of what we're going to talk about today, but yeah, it's all about accommodation, so we're going to get into to that. So let's see who we've got joining us today. Sarita P. Hello there, Sarita. Welcome along. Good day, everybody. Andrew Dickinson as well. Greetings to you. And Into the Blue Mister says, good afternoon, folks. Belated happy birthday to Caroline. Yes, it was her birthday. A Welsh woman in San Diego. The other half. It was her birthday on Saturday. She's had a great weekend. We went out for a meal with my mother, so her mother-in-law and her brother-in-law, my brother Paul. We went out for a meal this afternoon. Last night, we went to a cider and sausage festival in Leeds, which was entertaining and not as horrifically drunk as I perhaps expected us to get, but we had a great time. So, yeah, we had a good time. Andrew, I've just seen your message. We're going to get into that kind of thing shortly. So that's what we're going to do. But no, this is Talkin Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. Like I say, we're getting on the road to San Diego. It's getting real now, isn't it? We've had all sorts of elements when it comes to our news about some off-site events. They're starting to roll in. So we've got some news about that. We've got some news about some possible attendees. We've also got the news that they are starting to accept panels as well. So they're starting to line those up. So there we go. Yeah, all in all, it's just shaping up nicely. So Andrew Dickinson, about 200 meters from where I am at the moment. I don't know what on earth you're meaning. What are you talking about, Andrew? He does this. He does like one sentences which kind of lead on to the sentence before, and I'm trying to track his conversation, track his mind, which is always entertaining. Andrew, is that where your accommodation was? See, I'm trying to piece together what he's talking about already, but there we go. Who else we got joining us? We got Michael Ebel as well. Hello there, Michael. Welcome along. So yeah, it's about San Diego Comic-Con today, but of course, anything else that you want to talk about, jump in onto the comments. Do let us know if there's anything, and please do let us know. Right, okay. Andrew Dickinson, I'm at work opposite the Armories. That's where the Sausage and Cider Festival was. You see, you have to kind of like join the dots sometimes with Andrew's train of thought. He thinks faster than the rest of us, so you have to kind of keep a track on it. But there we go. Right, so this is going to be the first kind of chapter of a ongoing sequence of features that we're going to do on the show, running each and every Sunday, as well as the other interviews. Excuse me. The other interviews and other features that we're going to do as part of Talkin Con. We're also going to do each week a short feature on a certain element of attending San Diego Comic-Con, because while that may seem like an awfully big spotlight to put on one show, on a 4 plus a preview night show in July, which, while there are other conventions out there and others that get a lot of attention, New York Comic Con, some of the big shows here in the UK, a lot of the big shows in the US, why does San Diego have still so much mystique around it and so much power? At the end of the day, it is still a massive show. And I think the reason why I like to try and help as much as I possibly can with San Diego Comic Con is purely because it is not San Diego Comic Con held at the San Diego Convention Center. It's San Diego Comic Con held in the city of San Diego. Certainly at the shows that I've attended from 2010 through to 2018, certainly 2010 was a landmark year, and it was a year that a lot of people really do focus on and point to when it comes to the evolution of San Diego Comic-Con, because it was the year that we had the first lineup of the Avengers live there on stage, introduced by Kevin Feige, and it was a big moment which got a lot of attention from the world's media, and certainly for the entertainment companies. It was a pivotal moment, because it was a moment when we could actually see a quantifiable effect of San Diego Comic-Con on the world of pop culture, and it continued to build from there. Yes, through Twilight, through various other major landmark IPs that were launched and given a showcase at San Diego. Then in the kind of the couple of years prior to the last time I went, it was a case of the show kind of gotten so big that the company studios actually wondered if it was actually worth going to San Diego Comic-Con. All they had to do was drop some news around that weekend, and because everybody's eyeballs was on their internet and checking out what was going on in San Diego, it kind of snowballed from there. And then the pandemic hit, and then everybody's priorities had to reshift and reset. And now it's a case of where we are in 2022. Where does San Diego Comic-Con still fit in that landscape? For myself, I still think it's going to be a massive show. We are, in the main, a lot of people in the mindset of this is the new normal. This is where we are right now. We now have to adapt to the way that the world is, for better and for worse. And for that, it's a case of now getting back to normality. However, whatever your thoughts on that are, which for myself, it is a case of I've done what I can. Caroline's done what she's done. Everyone who's being responsible has done what they can. And it's very difficult for us to shoulder the burden of those that have been irresponsible when it comes to the pandemic. Now it's a case of we have to all kind of move forward in much the same way as it was before pandemic. We have to kind of deal with those that aren't going to be sensible. And we kind of get into that. The thing I love about San Diego Comic-Con and Comic-Con culture in general is that a lot of it is about shared passion. And for that, there's a shared community, which means, and I know there are a number of people who are watching that have serious doubts about attending large shows again, purely because of the risks involved. I think there is a shared community, and I think there is that real sense of con culture that would support each other as they go forward. So hopefully, in the main, that's what we're going to see. There's obviously going to be pockets of stupidity, but I think we find that across the board in all walks of life, don't we? So we kind of sort of move with that. Okay. So what I'm going to put together then is this weekly section, Road to San Diego, taking a certain element of San Diego Comic-Con, this huge monster with anything up to 180,000 people descending on the city of San Diego, if not attending San Diego Comic-Con proper, but in the periphery. It is definitely a show that is held in the city. Gaslamp becomes a massive nexus of all these little pop-ups and lots of little events, and the hive and excitement and energy just permeates from the convention center and into the city and to the further field. So that's what we're going to get into. It's such a monster. It deserves a little bit more delving into and talking about. So Road to San Diego. We're going to be talking about Accommodation today. This week, held on Thursday morning in the US, afternoon here in the UK, 5 p.m. I believe is when the waiting. No, the 5 p.m. is when the doors opened. to the actual sale. So the waiting room started at 4 p.m. here in the UK. So I believe it was something like 8 p.m. in the morning, sorry, 8 a.m. and then 9 a.m. in the morning. Either way, Thursday was a very big day for those that are wanting to attend and get the rooms that they want to stay in at San Diego Comic-Con. We're going to get into the pros and cons of a number of the hotels, especially what they call the Big Six down in the Gaslamp and downtown area. But what's the benefit of, say, the early bird hotel sale, which took place or opened up in March, which the end of March, where they opened up a number of hotels for a little bit further afield up in the Mission Valley area of town and the top end of San Diego. Further afield, but it meant that those were cheaper rooms. They were absolutely fixed. They were not going to go anywhere. And it was for those that had their badges, which for those that had rolled on from 2019, it was a case of making sure and locking that in. We're going to talk about the shuttle map that has been revealed for this year. So we're going to get into all of that. A couple of a little bit of a breakdown of my own personal staying history in San Diego Comic-Con. Like I say, my first year, 2010, I stayed. Like I say, 2010 was supposed to be a bucket list year. It was going to be San Diego Comic-Con, done and done. Tick that off. I've achieved that in my life. And it was the centerpiece to my honeymoon with Caroline. So that gives you an idea. It's 12 years for marriage for me. But yeah, it was a case of for San Bernardino, where we stayed with some family and friends. And then we moved during the week of San Diego Comic-Con and stayed with, it was an uncle of a friend of mine who lived in San Diego. We stayed in North Claremont. I really should bring up a map, I suppose, and then I can just kind of point at things so you can actually see where I was. I mean, I'm not going to show you exactly where I was, but you'll get the general idea. Certainly when it comes to the location of San Diego Comic-Con, and also where I was staying. So at least then you can kind of get a jibe of it. Let's have a look at this. Oh man, yeah. So North Claremont is where I stayed, and a little bit further afield. And to be fair, it was a lot of fun. It was nicely put. It was a little bit of a basement room that we stayed in, but it was nice on the bus route into town. We could also get to various other areas of San Diego if need be. And to be fair, we kind of needed to, because that first year we attended preview night, which we kind of got through and we enjoyed. And then we attended the Friday, and Caroline was a little bit freaked out by the crowds, by some of the rudeness, got a little bit jostled, a little bit pushed and probed, and very much felt a little bit invaded of space. So we actually stayed away on the Friday, and we went to SeaWorld. Before we kind of knew what really the mechanics of SeaWorld were, yes, I then came home and watched Blackfish. And yeah, that was a bit of a that was an entertaining change of what I kind of took from SeaWorld. But yeah, it was a way for me to kind of really dive into what it was to attend San Diego Comic-Con, being close enough to enjoy the city, but also then get down into the town as well. Then in 2021, decided to go back, and we stayed at the Holiday Inn at the top end of town. Now it's the Four Points by Sheraton. So it was on definitely one of the rows straight into the convention center. Yeah, that's a very good question. Michael P's asking, Sarita, which hotels do you choose? Let us know. Which hotels did you go for in the hotel sale? Please do dive in and let us know in the comments. But the Holiday Inn, 4 Points by Sheraton, it was a straight walk straight down to the convention center, all downhill. It was close enough for us to kind of enjoy it, and we went past the Broken Yoke on the way down, and that's how we started our days. It was nice and close. It's what is technically called downtown at San Diego Comic Con, at San Diego, and I am doing my best to bring up a map of the city so I can at least show you the kind of distance we're talking about. Okay. I'm not entirely sure of the legalities of showing you what's let's just bring up this so at least you can see it. Legalities of showing showing a Google map, but I'm going to do it anyway. So we'll have that on screen, and it looks like that. Here we go. So if I go to this, there we go. So yes, I stayed at the 4 Points. 4 Points is just like I say, it's nicely on the kind of off ramps of the I-5, which leads right at the top of the town, up at Cortez Hill, and you can actually find 4 Points up here at the top end of town. It was a really nice, clean run straight into town. Like I say, we went straight down past all the. You could pass through Ralph's. I mean, if you look to the map, and you kind of like saw the convention center, and you just sort of went, okay, 200 meters, 400. Well, it's about, yeah, I can walk that. I can walk that. You think? And to be fair, it was quite a walk, and yeah, it's walking distance. But Andrew Dickinson saying anything within 0.3 miles is what Andrew went for. But yes, this was a little bit further afield. I personally feel that right there on screen, as you see it, that is downtown. That's including Gaslamp Quarter. You've got everything from everything within walking distance. In fact, we've got a couple of starred locations there. The Aquavista South Tower, which we're going to get into in a minute. That's somewhere else that I stayed. But Holiday Inn 4 Points in 2011. In 2012, the closest I've stayed in the city of San Diego to the convention center, which was at the Holiday Inn at Gaslamp, right there at the across the bay, across from the convention center, the Hilton Gaslamp San Diego Gaslamp Quarter, which is, it's got to be said, a nice hotel. It's nicely close to the action, good rooms, as you can imagine. And it was really entertaining to kind of like stay there. If anything, because we then also kind of took over the fire pit, which is a little area to the outside of the hotel, looking directly across the way from the action. And we started the annual meeting of the San Diego Comic-Con UK attendees, which, to be fair, that's when 2012. That's when it all kind of kicked off for the attendees. So yeah, it was nicely close, and we kind of really got to enjoy San Diego from that location. But here's the thing, and it's one of the things that I'm going to bring up. I mean, I wanted to kind of talk about my history, but we'll quickly talk about this then. The benefits of staying so close, considering how expensive those rooms are. It is a case of what you're going to get out of that hotel room. Are you wanting to have a sense of comfort while staying there because it's your breakaway, it's your holiday? Or are you going to be spending more time in the convention center? Are you going to be spending time queuing up? Are you going to be out on the grass outside of the convention center, outside Hall H, camping up and queuing for the Hall H show the following day? Admittedly, when I do hear of people staying nicely close, they also think it's a really great way to store their gear and have it nicely close. If you want to have a shower, you can just nip across the road, grab what you need to. If you're staying at the Omni, you can just sort of like nip across, have a shower, get yourself ready, get back in the line, and it's a nice home base, but it's an expensive option. It's an expensive way of doing that particular show. And while I enjoy the meetups that we do at the Hilton Bayfront, it's not somewhere I don't feel I'd ever stay again. In fact, I don't think I'd stay in any of the big six. The big six, of course, as people do refer to them, you've got the Hilton, San Diego Hilton Bayfront, right next to the convention center. Moving around, we've got the Omni San Diego, we've got the Hard Rocks San Diego, the San Diego Marriott Gaslamp, Hilton Gaslamp as well, the Marriott Marquis, San Diego Marina, and the Manchester Grand Hyatt Hotel. Manchester Grand Hyatt Hotel is actually also well known for hosting and holding a number of the comic artists, which are attending at the show. So the stories of meeting famous artists and comic creatives in the bar at the Grand Hyatt are always well known. But then again, you also get to see them perhaps milling around at the Hilton Bayfront as well. So that's the big six as named. Again, I believe for me, it's somewhere I don't think I would ever stay again unless I had a serious amount of disposable income, purely because of the amount of time that you'd be staying there. I'd be wanting to get as much as I possibly can. If I've flown all that way to attend San Diego Comic Con, I would be spending every waking second I could inside the convention center, attending the shows, attending the panels, looking up and down the floors. I've spent a lot of money to be there, and that's what I think I'll be getting the most out of it. So there you go. Solicitor Smeg, big six are for the young who want to party. I kind of get you with that. I'd also turn around and say the Hard Rock Hotel, if I'm going to be a reviewer for a second. The Hard Rock Hotel was built for those that were attending the bars and the nightclub inside the hotel. The walls apparently are incredibly thin, and anything that takes place inside the hotel, you could pretty much hear in any of the rooms, in any of the floors. You want a hotel that you're going to be able to put your head down and not have to put earplugs in to enjoy. So, yeah, that's the thing. Let's have a look at this. Michael P. Andrew, I agree with you about the Hilton and Marriott's for points. Yeah, you can, Andrew says, any Hilton and Marriott for the points, for the air miles. I can understand that. As somebody who travels as much as Andrew does, that I can totally understand. Movers and shakers, hello there. How the devil are you? Also, will you be lugging a lot of stuff around? Yeah, a lot of people do use the convention center parking for this, to kind of have that so they can put stuff into their cars and get themselves all laid out in that regard. Oh, let me just get myself sorted out with this. I'm sorting out the hard drive as well, because I want to show some pictures of some of the hotels that I took as well. So at least then I can show you what these hotels look like. Okay. Hard Rock Hotel. So many of the celebrities in the elevators. Yes, that's where the celebrities do get put up a lot. And you do get to see them as well. And it's also the home as well of a number of the big parties that take place, as is the Omni as well. The two hotels do host some pretty big rooftop parties and look down onto the small people, the great and beautiful up there on the balconies looking down. Okay, let me quickly run down through the rest of where we stayed. So yeah, 2012 was the Holiday Inn Gaslamp. In 2013, we stayed in a gorgeous condo on Pacific Highway, just up from the Santa Fe depot, around about there. If you have a look at there's the Hampton in San Diego downtown. It was just kind of up from there. I'd say it was in between. I think it'd be in between those two. Or it was either there on Ash Street. It was that kind of neck of the woods. Again, nicely close. We were right on to the buses, the train as well, straight into town, and it was just nice and close. And as you can see, straight down Harbour Drive, and right there at the convention center. And it was also the first time that we had actually room shared as well with a number of people that we'd met in previous conventions, previous San Diego Comic Con. And it was, for me, one of the defining moments of staying in San Diego with people that you had chosen your family, you had chosen your friends. So that was, for me, a really big and important year, staying at that condo, because then it was a case of room sharing all the way. We have not taken part in the hotel sale since then. The next time we stayed in San Diego, up through Little Italy, and we stayed a little bit further afield, a little bit further uptown. But we stayed in this in 2013. We stayed in Little Italy, and Little Italy is just such a fun part of the city. It's beautifully cultured. It's got a lot of activity which can be easily equated to Gaslamp, but it's just a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more. It's not as kind of in your face as Gaslamp is. It's got its own energy. And I really enjoyed Little Italy and where we stayed. We actually stayed just down from, if I can find it on here, let me just see if I can, Shakespeare Pub in India Street, a little bit further up. There we go. A British style pub. We actually stayed around about, up here somewhere on Columbia, just up at the top here, and it overlooked the city and it overlooked the airport, and we had the El Indio there, the Mexican restaurant. We had the Shakespeare Pub. It was nicely close to a bus, a trolley that brought us straight down into town. And we had the gelato there. It was just gorgeous. It was myself, it was Caroline, it was Rachel. We had a couple of others as well, and it was just such a great time that we had staying in Little Italy, and that was in 2014. 2015, we then all gathered and stayed in a hotel, in a condo, sorry, on East, right there, because I've got it saved because it's another one that's particularly a lot of fun for me. The Aqua Vista South Tower, right there on Ash Street. Again, nicely close that we could walk. And again, it was with some friends that we had chosen. It was our new family, and we all came together, and we really kind of makes that, for me, makes a lot of difference. That you're sharing the whole adventure together. Admittedly, I think we can also. It was just, I believe it was that condo as well. 2015. It was the year that Caroline broke a leg, broke her ankle. Getting into that hotel, that condo again was a little bit awkward because everyone's just trying to get in and trying to work out our timings for that. But it was great to kind of have still a lot of distance away from Gaslamp, so we weren't all bustled into that activity, but close enough that we could dive in if we needed to. Let's have a look at some comments we've got here. You, Kellen, joining us. Hello there, new name to the show. Thank you very much for coming in. I try for close in because my sister is in a wheelchair and it's hard to stay further out and have to get parking to transport the wheelchair. Yeah, that's kind of where I was leading to with what I was saying with staying at the Aqua Vista. Across the road was actually one of the hotels listed on the San Diego Comic-Con hotel sale. So we could just go across the road and jump in on the shuttle route. And that kind of gave us a little bit of freedom to get into town. But yes, getting on with a wheelchair is incredibly difficult. So that's where I do understand and appreciate that for people who have the needs to stay close, that's absolutely where it is. But that's where it really starts becoming expensive. We'll talk about the fee, the kind of fees very shortly. Indeed. Andrew Dickinson, the furthest I stayed was the DoubleTree next to the Four Seasons, closest with an apartment on 5th. Nicely done. So let's do a Meg. We booked an Airbnb around 10th Avenue and G Street. Fingers crossed we don't get cancelled at the last minute. Sir, I have booked my Airbnb. I am with you on that one. So let's just see what's going on. Movers and shakers, the right accommodations make the difference. Have learned a lot attending the show over the years. Absolutely. So we stayed in that condo on West Ash Street, the Aquavista South Tower from 2015 to 2016. And then in 2017, we were incredibly lucky to stay for 2 years at the El Cortez condominiums, which if I just bring up the pictures here, and I've got my own pictures as well. Yeah, this building here. The reason why I stayed at this particular location, and if I ever got the opportunity to stay there again, I wish I could. But the only downside is, as far as I'm aware, the person that rented that particular room no longer does so. So she's kind of stepped out of that particular accommodation. The El Cortez. The reason why I wanted to stay there, and I've got a number of pictures on my in my folder about it, is the history. At the end of the day, San Diego Comic-Con started in 1970. One of the initial locations for the show was the El Cortez. It was not in any kind of state it is now. It's a very high grade condominium block at the top end of town. It's an historic building for San Diego, and I had so much fun, not only kind of reliving some of the history by being a Comic-Con nut and staying at the El Cortez, but also kind of delving into what it would have felt like to attend that show back in the day. If you have a look in the ballroom of the El Cortez, or if you were able to, it is the smallest of small ballrooms, to the point where you could easily run from one side to the other in a matter of seconds. And when you see the flyers which they have, illustrated by Scott Shaw, in the hotel lobby, talking about the incredible names that attended the show back in the day, you just think to yourself, we're talking some of comics' greatest and good, literally within arm's reach. Yeah, when you hear the story as well that Jack Kirby was very rarely at his table. He was out at the pool at the back of the El Cortez, and basically was sipping margaritas. And if you wanted a sketch from Jack Kirby, all you had to do was bring him a margarita, and he'd just got to do you a sketch out there. It's a hell of a building, and very much so much fun. Movers and Shakers saying it was a shuttle stop as well. Not at all, I'm afraid. Yeah, we had to go a little bit further afield, a little bit of a walk to get to a shuttle from that end of the building, end of the town. The one thing I would also say about the El Cortez, and it was one of the complaints that you got from a number of the guests that attended back in the day as well. While San Diego Comic-Con very much exists on a bit of a slope into town, the 2 blocks that reach to the El Cortez at the top of town, literally to the El Cortez, go up by a massive gradient, and you definitely get a bit of a workout getting up to town. So yeah, it was so much fun. But we did that in 2017 and 2018. So there we go. It was just such a good giggle, and it's a shame that we're not able to stay there again. We are still good friends with the person that did our accommodation in those 2 years. Who knows? Fingers down, across down the line. I'd love to stay in the El Cortez again. It was a stop the year I went. Okay. As far as I'm aware, there was no shuttle stop outside of the El Cortez. But who knows? Let's have a look at this. Andrew Dickinson, there's about 5 of us booked into the Renaissance opposite the Broken Yoke. Prices are paying within $10 of the hotel sale. Have a lodger already. Absolutely. That's where you're aiming for. We'll get into the hotel sale very shortly. Michael Ebel, I've stayed at Best Western Island Palm numerous times on Shuttle Island. Nice rooms, great choice if you plan to have a car and visit other areas in the area. Let's talk about pros and cons then. So we've talked about the pros of staying closer to San Diego downtown. if anything, because for that availability and to kind of make it easier to move around the city. I totally understand people's desire to stay a little bit closer to the action, and also if you are needing to stay there, if anything, because of availability, accessibility, and maybe you need the proximity because of any ailments you have moving around. I know Leanne might be watching. She can also attest to that. You want to stay close as you possibly can. There's also that convenience of just waking up, stumbling out of bed, and there you go. The convention center's right there. Always handy to have. But what is the advantage then of staying a little bit further afield? You do have those hotels heading out to Liberty Station and up at the top end of town. It is a fair old trek, but the advantage is, of course, price. One of the best things that I think San Diego Comic-Con and Comic-Con International and the city of San Diego have done, putting together ways for the attendees to get the most out of the show, is for me the free shuttle that runs around the city, running from various locations. And Brandon's messaging. I've got so much to say on your topic today. Do you want to jump on? And do you want to talk to us? I can send you the link, sir, if you want to. Yeah, it's not too late to hop on, sir. I'll get you the link for that now. If you want to talk to us about this, by all means. The shuttle is, for me, the best way for people to really get into exploring San Diego without it breaking the bank, and really kind of allowing the communication to the community to experience the show without it being absolutely bank breaking. So I'm a little bit distracted because I'm just trying to get this link to Brandon. Plenty of stuff to talk about, so bear with us. Anyone else, of course, who wants to jump in and have their say, please do let us know, and I'll of course get that link to you. So there we go. There's Brandon, and if I just press that, you can jump on by all means. Okay, you, Kaylin. Shelter Island hotels are great. Feels like a real vacation out there. There's also Coronado Island as well, heading a little bit further out the other way of the city. I went for the first time to Coronado on the last two times that we went out to San Diego in 2017, 2018. It's such a beautiful part of San Diego. If you do get the chance to step away from the convention and just go exploring around San Diego, do check out Coronado, because it is a beautiful part. Just get yourself onto that bridge, get yourself over there, and just have a look around. Even jump on one of the water tours that take you around Seaport Village, take you around the Bayfront Harbor, and then takes you up to Liberty Station. There's plenty of places to check out. And yeah, it's just really helpful to just kind of get a bigger sense of San Diego while not breaking the bank. We'll talk about the shuttle map as well, because that's been revealed by San Diego Comic-Con this week. Let's have a look at this. Solicitor Mega saying, this is the closest I've stayed. Usually we stay outside the city and drive in each day. But we have a kid, age 4, with us this year, and the mum wants to walk from Airbnb to Con. I totally understand that. Absolutely. Sarita P, some of the Mission Valley hotels prices equal to those of downtown. Yeah. I've been looking at my conversion, because what I used to do was a price conversion table for the Brits. This is back when I wasn't running the convention collective. I was running an Englishman in San Diego website, and for attending San Diego Comic-Con from an Englishman's perspective, looking at the conversion rates, looking at the way that it equated to British prices, and it was quite expensive. talk about breaking the bank at the moment. This is Andrew Dickinson. £1, one British pound is 1.25. It used to be 1 point. You used to aim for about $1.50, but no, it's just, yeah, the conversion is not great. 3 to PC in San Diego at night from Coronado is great. Solicitor Smeg, if you want a day off of the con, check out the Calibro Monument. I've heard good things about it. Veronica Nunez, I recently went to the Calibro Monument for the first time and had lived in San Diego for 26 years when I went to San Diego in March. Yes, we're going to have to check that out at some point. So, yeah, it was just a really... Oh, hang on a second. We've got a message coming in. Okay, hopefully he's seen that. Hopefully we'll get Brandon on at some point. So definitely worthwhile checking out the a little bit further afield, because that's a way of getting into town with the shuttles. Does make life easier. But yeah, the way that the prices have gone up, like I say, I did the conversion table for the Brits, but then that also listed all of the hotel prices at that time. In fact, I think I've still got those to hand. If I just stop that. Oh, Brandon's here as well. Hello, Brandon. How are you doing, Squire?
Hello, can you hear me okay?
We can hear you all good. Long time no see, man. How you keeping, mate?
I know, I'm good. I was like, I have to talk about this because this is such like a key thing to, keep in mind. Outside of, I feel like the flight is perhaps, the most consistent thing that is kind of easy to kind of navigate. But yeah, that hotel one or any type of accommodation piece is the ones that can be the most tricky.
Absolutely.
So I'm trying to think. So my first year, and I've mentioned this on the show, not here, but if you guys have, for those of you who are not aware, a lot of times I'll do, at least the last couple of years, I did a show to like commemorate kind of that, just as you were saying, Leonard, that family type of, atmosphere that you have with Comic-Con, that I coined SDCC peeps, and talking about, experiences with various folks. And the first year that I went to Comic-Con, and it's hard to believe, it's been over a decade. So 2009, stayed in El Cajon. So if anyone is familiar with San Diego and how far that is, if you're not aware, it's about 45 minutes easy on the trolley. And it was a learning experience because, if you don't make that, last train out, you are stuck, basically paying a $45, $50 Uber ride back to your place. So, after that, I was like, okay, I got so traumatized by that, of like being that far, of like having to rely so heavily on the, on the trolley system to get to and from, that, after that, I haven't looked back since, and have always been downtown. Even if it's been like just on the outskirts of downtown, it's still technically been downtown. So,
well, let's ask that question. When it comes to downtown, where do you feel is too far? Where do you feel is just getting a little bit too far a stretch to get, certainly just walking into town, or just...
So I would say the farthest that I've been, and I guess, and you guys who are, from San Diego, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the furthest that I've stayed that has been downtown, and I still put kind of an asterisk by it, that it actually would count as downtown, is if you recall, I'm trying to remember what year it was. I want to say it was 2011, because I think you went to the event like I did. It was for the Cowboys and Aliens premiere.
Yes.
Fortunate enough, the place that I was staying at that year was literally a block and a half away. And that place wasn't close, close walking wise. It wasn't particularly close to, what is it? The convention center. It was the San Diego Theater.
Civic Theater.
Yeah. Which is, I want to say, if you're walking easy, it's like 25 minutes. And I walk pretty fast. I've been told I walk pretty fast, but yeah, it's quite a trek if you're walking, especially if you're walking, as many of you know, that if you're doing Comic-Con, which, as you do Comic-Con year after year, more and more, you try to get better at, of not collecting a lot of stuff that you don't really need because you're given a lot of stuff, or a lot of stuff is like handed to you like, oh, take this, oh, here's a sticker, oh, take this, oh, here's something else cool that you can have. And by the end of the day, you're lugged down with all this stuff, whether it's either in your hand or in like the book bag that you just throw stuff in. So yeah, so like in cases like that, I think that was maybe the farthest that I've been. Other than that, the only other year that I can picture that I was like just outside of downtown was I'm trying to remember. It was over by, I want to say it was maybe like a couple of blocks off from, and I'm brain farting on what it is. It's like this really it's this really well-known like donut shop that's on like the outskirts of downtown San Diego.
Yes,
But
I think I know where you're talking, because that's just down from the El Cortez. You're on about.
And speaking of which, speaking of that, because I know I was
right there
yeah,
on B Street.
I was saying, speaking of that, the place that I meant wasn't specifically El Cortez. So
okay.
I believe across the street, I don't know if it's still there, because I know things change. Because I mean, at this point, like the Horton Plaza isn't, the Horton Plaza that, I've known, in the years, my earlier years going to Comic-Con. But it was, I want to say it was a Red Roof Inn that was across the street from El Cortez. I don't know if it's still there.
You're on about the Baymont by Wyndham.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they must have changed it. But yeah, that was the
absolutely.
place. And I think I want to say it was like down on an incline on a hill, like just around the corner. They had it as one of the stops. So it wasn't literally in front of Cortez, but close-ish enough.
We did actually stay one. I think we kind of ran out of dates when it comes to the El Cortez. Just to point out, we did actually stay a couple of nights at the Days Inn, just around the corner at the Days Inn by Wyndham, San Diego, just around there. And it's saying there it's a 2-star hotel. It was either there, or it may even be I don't think it was the Vantage Point, but we stayed somewhere which, quite frankly, if we'd have taken a blue light into it, it was very much a place where you felt that an NCIS episode was going to be there at any point. That they did. So this is the room where the hooker was murdered, and you just went. It felt so. We were glad to get out of there. We stayed there, I think, for like one night, and then one or two nights, and then we moved down to the Manchester Grand. We just it was a real world away. It's very, very strange. It's very, very strange.
I would say just in general, I know you were commenting on some of the reasons why to do a closer hotel. Some of them you touched on already. So like if you know that it depends on what you're going to the con for, and you've gotten on this, is if you're a big exclusives person, you're going to be grabbing a lot of stuff, then that might be your more ideal choice. As a media person, it makes a lot of sense because I'm lugging a lot of stuff, like a lot of cameras and equipment. So it's very helpful of doing it that way. So that's why it makes sense. But also, just as, I believe someone said in the comments, if you have someone who is limited physically, makes perfect sense of being able to do that. But at the same time, disadvantage wise, if you're not the type of person who likes to be like me personally, like I enjoy kind of that atmosphere of Comic-Con, and I still like to be, even as I'm kind of winding down my day, I still enjoy like having the sounds and being in the midst of things, so to speak. But that's not for everybody. So like, some people need that decompression time, and I get that. Like you need to get away. So, that may not, even though it's convenient to walk to, it may not be convenient for you to do because like, you don't want to hear, all these rumblings of events that are happening, at night, which you can hear, by the way.
Sure.
So,
I mean, it's like I say. I mean, the hotel which we stayed at, I'd like to say, it's the closest that we've stayed, which is the Hilton San Diego Gas Lamp, straight across from the convention center. And I mean, for me, it was a case of it was just so much money that we had poured into this hotel, which we were barely staying at. When we were staying there, all you could hear was just the noise of gas lamp, and it was I don't think I would ever do that again. It'd have to be somewhere really
And
good.
I was gonna say, thankfully, the place that I stayed at, they had soundproof windows. So, like, if I wanted to listen to it, I could. But if I didn't want to listen to it, I could shut the windows. So that that was a nice feature of the place that I was staying at.
I would like to stay at the Omni one time, because like I say, I've stayed at the
Yeah,
Hilton.
yeah.
I've been into Hilton Bayfront just to have a look. Some people were staying there, so I stayed there. I didn't stay there, but we went in and we're having a look around. That was a nice hotel. But I'd like to stay at the Omni one time just to see what that's actually like as a hotel, just to check that out.
No, I hear you. And I was going to say another piece too is if you're the type that likes to go to, I know we were just talking about, Cowboys and Aliens premiere. If you know that you're going to be doing a lot of events that San Diego does, that are after hours, then obviously I feel like, a place that's within walking distance is going to be more ideal for you. Because you do not want to be stranded
No, absolutely not.
and have to, shell out money that you weren't planning on spending to get back to your place.
Sure,
So that might make more sense for you
sure.
in that regard. Because I was going to say in one year there was, and I don't know if any of you guys that are chatting right now have recalled this year. I want to say it was 2009 that they did a screening, a Hall H screening of Trick or Treat. And it was, I think it started at 8 o'clock, and I think we didn't get out of there until 11. So like I had missed I had missed the last shuttle that day. And I mean, as much as I had fun going to, the screening, like it was still a bummer because like I wasn't anticipating to have that issue upon leaving out of Hall H.
Yeah.
So there's that. If you know that you're doing a lot of stuff, because I mean, as you know, for many of you out there who have gone more than once, we'll have sometimes, of course, you have parties, but you also have like advanced screenings of a lot of films. We get first looks at a lot of films a lot of times, and they're not. Sometimes there are rare occasions where they are occurring during the day. Like I know we had. Was it 2011 that they had the Captain America First Avenger screening? I think that was like at 11 o'clock
It was.
or 10 o'clock, I want to say. And it was during a regular,
During a
con
regular
day.
day.
It was on Thursday, if I
It
recall.
was because
Yeah.
my missus went in for the queue for that, and they capped the queue,
Yep.
5 people in front of her. So yeah, oh yeah, she had a blast that day.
Yeah. So I mean, you have that, but then, as I said, with Cowboys and Aliens, sometimes you have stuff that's later, so you just have to be cognizant of that.
Sure. We might as well quickly talk about this shuttle service because when it was introduced, it was a 24-hour service for those first couple of years, and yeah, it was a damn sight more convenient because then you could actually you could use it to get around, and certainly if you wanted to go down partying down Gaslamp, then you could get back home. You didn't have the issues that you had. But here we have the dates for this year, coordinated by Seattle Planners Incorporated. Kicks in on the Wednesday, 3 till 12 a.m. And then on Thursday through till Saturday, 5 a.m. till 1 a.m. in the morning. Not super convenient, but certainly for those who want to be in bed by 1 o'clock. So at least then they can be down for the convention first thing. And then on Sunday, all the way through from 5 a.m. till 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock on the Sunday is when it's done. And yeah, well, to be fair, that's when they start tearing down the banners anyway, and they kick us out of town.
And I'll add another piece to the shuttle thing because you in having that experience, it was a learning experience, and I want to help some folks out there who want to bypass that experience. Is sometimes just if you are able to get a sense of and I feel like a lot of times they have the same hotels, so just making a note of it, of which I know we were talking about it earlier, which what are the stops for it seems like a small thing, but knowing where the shuttles are stopping, because you don't want to have a place that is technically in that area but it's not exactly where the stop is. And so even if you're picturing that it's in the middle of the night and you're exhausted from the con day, and you still have to get to your room, you know, a couple of blocks away, 5 blocks away, 6 blocks away, it makes a difference versus just being able to get in front of your hotel. So
absolutely. So yeah, we've got that timing there. Have we got the map at all? No, we don't. But I mean, it's for me, like I say, it was still the most convenient thing that San Diego Comic-Con have ever introduced. Shy of that opening up of the front of the convention center to get around. For me, it was just a more. It was a real positive thing to improve moving around the city. There we go. One or two people are talking about some other things that have changed around San Diego, so we'll quickly dive into this. So Horton Plaza is gone. Yeah, very large building site as of San Diego Comic-Con Special Edition. We do have a comment here.
I missed
from,
that place.
yeah, I enjoyed it as well.
That was a hangout.
Horton Plaza and the Petco Stadium helped gentrify San Diego. Before that, it was not a place people would want to be near after dark. No, I have walked through Horton Plaza at 2 o'clock in the morning.
As have I.
That wasn't fun. That was a challenge. Let's have a look at this. So the mall's turned. It's the whole thing's turned down. Apparently, Balboa is still there. Balboa Theatre still there, but the mall itself, Hot Topic was, that's no more. So there we go. Let's talk about the prices. If I can bring this up, because it's going to be a slight. Bear with me. It's going to be a bit of a challenge because I've got. It's going to go a bit weird on screen for a second. Bear with me, and it will kind of get itself back into speed. But this is where I'm going to have to go. The entire screen. Let's see if I can bring it up, and I don't think I can. That's a shame. Okay, so let me just rate through this because we just as an example. Then let's go for some downtown. Let's go for the Hilton Bayfront. So Hilton San Diego Bayfront. Now I'm talking 2014 now, so we're talking 8 years ago. So there is going to be obviously inflation. There's going to be some real changes in the way that the prices have improved or increased. But this certainly gives you a sense of how that has happened. So we had in Hilton Bayfront for one person, $108. It was $299. In 2022, for Hilton Bayfront, it's $322. Let's have a look at the gas lamp for the hell of it. For the Hilton gas lamp, it was $230. For 2022, it's $294. I'm just pick me a hotel and I'll give you an idea, because even the Coronado Island ones have just jumped up massively. I mean, have you taken part in the hotel sale? Did you take part in Hotel Apocalypse?
I've assisted in Hotel Apocalypse, but I think because of due diligence, I knock on wood, I've been fortunate enough to always find, a locate a spot, whether it's with hotels or even with Airbnb. So there are instances, or even family. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to also say I have family who live out there. Sometimes, because they are, military, a part of the military. Sometimes they are there, and sometimes they aren't. So just navigating through that. But no, I haven't specifically for myself, and I think it's more so just because I've heard, and I know for many this isn't the case, but at least from people that I've known or have discussed it with me, there have been some horror stories of I don't know if you want to get into like some of the horror stories of things that have happened, as a result of going through that process of having a third party, so to speak, to kind of handle the reservation details and how wires can get crossed sometimes. And, when people finally get there, they're kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place. So,
sure. I mean, I think also, let's have a look at this. 3-P is saying Hilton Bayfront 2019 was 322, and it's now 322. We're looking, Andrew Dickinson, who's kind of looked around most of the general numbers, 25% increase. I don't think that's a huge amount in 8 years. Hotels in the Leeds have gone up more than that. Yes, absolutely. Into the Blue Mr. 2012, one night at the Indigo for the con was £200. I suspect that may have doubled by now. I think also, and I kind of brought this up last week, there's also a real sense of power that the hotel owners and the hotel industry have, and they know that they have a captive audience throughout the course of San Diego Comic-Con. So they really have a massive sway, and they have felt it over the last couple of years, that absence of the convention throughout the pandemic. They are going to want to kind of claw some of that lost money, that lost income. We actually have someone who's joining us as well. Kathy's joining us, also known as a non-sequitur girl on the old Twitters. Hello there, Kathy. How are you?
Hi. Yeah, I was actually also on Facebook. I'm Yukai Lin.
There you go.
So the one with the sister with the Down syndrome,
right, okay.
in a wheelchair. Okay, so
I mean, you're a travel agent. You're in driving distance, so you've got a different perspective, attending since 1995. So what's your thoughts then on the power that the hotels have on determining the prices, and that they really want to get some of that money back that they've lost, the lost revenue over the last couple of years?
Yeah. So I live in Orange County, so I'm about 80 miles from downtown San Diego. I was actually born in San Diego. My dad's Navy, so it's a big Navy town. So I'm very familiar with it. And then because I go down there all the time for Comic-Con, I used to take a whole day off just to go tour hotels, particularly the new ones. So I've stayed in at least a dozen hotels, maybe more, and I've toured another 20 hotels. So, but yeah, I've been going down there for a really long time. And when it comes to the pricing, see, San Diego is considered the playground of California. I mean, because we've got the beaches, we've got our mountains, we've got our deserts. California as a state is very, very, has such a diversity of activities and atmospheres and places to stay. But San Diego the temperature is the mildest for most of the state. It's very consistent, winter, summer, whatever. It's a very consistent temperature, and it's just where we all go to play. And so hotels in the summer would always be fairly expensive in relation to if you're going to go to a hotel in Anaheim, if you're going to go to a hotel even at the beach, in Newport or Huntington Beach or up in LA. But recently, and again, because of when I started going in 95, I could walk up and buy tickets into the convention, but I could also book a hotel 2 days beforehand. I could sit there and decide just the week before, I'm going to go to Comic-Con. And I drove the first 2 years I went, I just commuted every day. Because again, I was only 80 miles away.
Sure.
Kathy, it was still that way in 2009. Like 2009,
yeah.
I was still in the attendee at that time.
Yeah, you can still buy the ticket.
I got it in June. June.
Well, and people used to
on the regular website, not on Epic before Epic.
Yeah, exactly. and with the so that was always an interesting conundrum. And I know you've seen tourists. Every time we go down there, you see all the normal. There's mundanes in every hotel. And I've always wondered, how the heck do they get rooms? And as a travel agent, I started looking at the hotel consolidators. And one year I was able to get in the Omni by just simply, I would sit there. I know hotels go on sale to the general public 330 days in advance. So same thing with airfare. You can't ever buy hotels or airfare more than 330 days before your travel dates. So I used to set up a little calendar reminder in August to check for the next year. And so one year I got in the Omni using a hotel consolidator. And it didn't occur to me to get my friends a room as well. Until like a week later, I said, hey, I got this hotel. You want me to look? And I've never seen it pop up again. And so whenever, even with the hotel consolidators, when I look at San Diego hotels, it's all in the outer rim, because of the blocks. And these blocks, what they do is, as a professional thing, what they call it, it's kind of like World Series, Super Bowl. Those kinds of events are what they call basically a block, and it locks out everything. Those big, huge events that are annual, and Comic-Con obviously is annual in that way. And so, you know, when you started seeing hotels open up, again, I start searching in August. I search every August. I start hitting things up. So I've already got a hotel at the Courtyard in Liberty Station, which I actually like that location. You know, as long as I can get parking in downtown, I'll stay out there because I know where the Trader Joe's is. I'll know where restaurants are that I don't have to stand in line for. But when I compared the prices, actually the price I booked at is $100 more than the group rate.
Whoa.
So we did the Hotel Apocalypse to see if we can get into that hotel or one of the others because they are cheaper. But the fact that they block up, because you can still try and get into one of those hotels for $700 a night, prepay in advance, non-refundable.
That's the caveat. You got
yeah. And not everyone would see those. I happen to be a Platinum Elite with Marriott, so I go with Marriott properties a lot. But yeah, they you know, being available is suddenly less helpful when they want to charge you $700, $800 a night, and you have 24 hours to cancel if you choose to go that route. And yeah, I'm not playing that game. No. But people do it. I mean, they get away with it. People do it. I mean, they would stop doing it if people weren't booking it. So God knows what, I mean, that I don't even know who's booking those rooms at that price.
It's all Brits that are going on holiday. Who's been saving up all year for this.
Yeah, because it's not people from Middle America and stuff like that who are want to come to San Diego, and you know, and it's fine because the hotels that are then available to them, La Jolla, which is beautiful. Yeah. I mean, I even stayed one year. I stayed out at the Grand Del Mar because it's a Fairmont, and I got a travel agent rate, and it was only a 20-minute commute into town, and I was like staying at what looked like an Italian. A Tuscan villa, you know, and so I'm like, okay, I'm going to go posh for one. And so I did posh one year.
So, I mean, there's one that I want to try in downtown, which is I do want to try the Horton Grand one year. I would love to try that hotel because it just looks gorgeous.
Well,
I'd love.
It looks hilarious. With there's like a horse statue. Because you walk past it and stuff like that. I mean, because it's a historical hotel. Of course, also the U.S. Grant. I toured the U.S. Grant one year, and it is some of the design is based on the native, the Indian tribe that is home in San Diego, calls San Diego home. And so they've got these beautiful colors of gold and blue, and these designs that I never really would have realized because I was thinking U.S. Grant has got to be, well, it is. It's named after the president, but that was a beautiful hotel as well, and it's one of the oldest hotels in San Diego. But yeah, you're right. That Horton Grand looks it looks romantic.
It does.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about the U.S. Grant is it was as far away. I mean, it's just around the corner from the Civics Theatre.
Yeah.
Brandon, if you want a sense of the distance.
Yeah, it's up there on Broadway. You know, well, and the Westgate. The Westgate is like the fancy hotel. Yeah. A lot of the fancy parties are over at the Westgate.
The one that the one I've stayed at the Sophia. But I'm trying to remember. No, it wasn't. It was the Westin Downtown. I've been trying to piece together my years. I've been trying to work out which years I did what, because there was a year that we did actually stay there. I think it was the year that Caroline came into town early, and I'm trying to remember which year that was. But no, that's a pretty hotel. But there we go. Is Brandon gone? Brandon left us.
I think he is.
Oh, that's a shame. Okay, hopefully he'll come back. But there we go. So in terms of the price rates and the price hikes, then do you feel that it's gone extortionate, or do you feel that there's still more room for them to kind of put that price up in future years for the desire? Do you think they've got the power and the influence to keep that price hike going?
Again, so I've gone down into San Diego in non-Comic-Con times. I mean, so I go down there, I go to San Diego. I also work for a film festival. So I go down to the San Diego Asian Film Festival in November. And I stayed at a new hotel that is in the old UCLA YMCA building. And I'm forgetting the name. It's not the Guild, it's something else. But it was looking at rates for hotels in San Diego, even in November, they're still pretty high. I mean, they're a little bit more comfortable. They're in like the 175s, 190s. So it's still fairly, because again, San Diego is a year-round destination.
Sure.
For holidays and stuff like that. So like I said, I've been down there in November. During the pandemic, actually, as you know, because the pandemic hadn't really exploded in the US. I mean, it kind of, you know, in 2020, things started getting better after the summer because everybody was able to go outdoors and I guess not spread it quite as much for a while there. So in August, I actually went down to the Omni and stayed, and they upgraded me for like $30 to a corner suite. And I had a view of both Petco Park, Gaslamp, and the sales pavilion. And I think I got the room for like $145 a night. So deals exist at other times, but yeah, the only way to know if you're being gouged is you have to look at what the pricing is in other months.
Sure.
You know, I mean, particularly now that you've got Petco Park there, and of course before Petco Park, you didn't have, I mean, there was hotels, there was other things there before they put the park in, but it turns the traffic down there into crazy town. And Omni actually has an air bridge into Petco Park, so it is sort of like the home hotel for the baseball games.
Sure.
So again, when it comes to looking at prices, particularly those on that eastern side of the Gaslamp Quarter that are next to Petco Park, you know, because baseball season is April to October.
Yeah.
So hotel rates are kind of relative. I mean, it is expensive in the summer, but what are you comparing it to? And if it's only a $40 or $50 hike over what you would pay in April, then they're not really gouging you.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like I said at the top of the episode. While I am interested in Hotel Apocalypse, I'm interested in the hotel sale and the way that the prices have raised. We've got Andrew Dickinson with his comment: prices, death and taxes. Haven't there been a 6% hotel tax added since 2019? Yes, I understand that's the case. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm staying in San Diego for 3 weeks, so staying staying in the hotels was a non-starter from the word go. It had to be Airbnb, or it had to be a condo rental, because there's no way I could afford to stay in San Diego for that period of time
at any hotel. No,
at any hotel. There was just no way. So that's the reason why we've gone Airbnb. So do watch this episode and these podcasts as we get closer to July to see whether that is still the case. So if you see me crying into camera around mid-June, you'll kind of understand why, because just in case. But I've got listen, they've taken half my money, so we'll see how it goes. I don't think we're going to be able to get Brandon back before we kind of move forward, but we'll kind of wrap up with yourself, Kathy, and then so we're talking about the accommodation and staying at these hotels and looking at the prices that you're paying. Are you paying for convenience and comfort when it comes to a San Diego Comic-Con hotel? Or sorry, are you paying for comfort, or are you paying for convenience? Because you are going to be spending so much time in the convention center. For those that go hardcore, that go also sleeping out for the panels, that kind of thing.
Well, and again, okay, so again, as I mentioned, I have a sister in a wheelchair.
Sure.
And once that became, I mean, you know, she used to not be in a wheelchair, and then she was, and being a little person with Down syndrome, she, you know, was short. She would walk slowly. And so, you know, I had that swivel neck as I was always looking for her. So at that time, before she was in the wheelchair, being close by was just easy because if she needed to take a nap or something, we would walk next door. If we got into the Marriott Marquis and I'd order her a hamburger from room service, I would tell them that she's got Down syndrome and she'll sign for it, but I won't be there. And I would go back in because I would either be working at a booth or I'd have a panel I was presenting because I work for the OneRing.net. So I have Lord of the Rings stuff to do. And so I've done that a couple times where being close was a way of letting her take a nap, you know? So there was that. And then once we got the wheelchair, they have a wheelchair ramp. You can go down into the bottom level of the Marriott Marquis, and there's a wheelchair ramp right up into Comic-Con. And again, that was always helpful. When we started not being able to get rooms close in, thank God, Ace Parking started doing the parking lot lottery. And so we get parking either in the convention center or at the Hilton next door, sometimes all the way up at Horton, but I guess it's not there anymore as an option. No. But if we can get into at least the Hilton parking lot or the convention center, then again, it didn't matter. It freed us up. We no longer needed that close by hotel because I could drive in and, you know, we still had the car if we needed, you know, if we bought a bunch of stuff and we wanted to put it in. But I started putting all of my bags on the back of the wheelchair so we could carry our lunches in. Anything we got for free, it would be attached to the wheelchair. And so it was sort of like, because, you know, you can't bring in little rolly strollers and stuff like that to carry all your stuff. So having a wheelchair was an advantage.
You can't use her as a wagon pony. All right. You can't do that. That's not nice.
Well, you know, but I was also, it was mostly I was bringing in all the food. I would have to make sure because she had medications to take. And so I had enough food for us because, you know, who wants to go and stand in line for hours to get into a panel and then you're hungry?
I feel like that could be another show based on how much money you can easily spend.
Yeah.
So that could be a whole show.
Okay, that's on the plan. Trust me, that's another road to San Diego. And
I
that's
would love to talk about that.
So again, it was convenience being close by because we could get food quicker because you can go over to the hotel and get food a lot faster than you can in the convention center. And it's usually a little bit better. Yep. But yeah, we would take it in and throughout the convention, I'd be like, here's half your sandwich right now. You know, here's your cookies, here's your chips. And here's your medication. And so, you know, there is a lot more to the logistics when you're dealing with somebody with special needs at a convention. So yeah, that was for us.
I mean,
plus I don't like walking distances if I don't have to. You already walk a couple miles in the convention center alone. Yeah. I mean, for that front entrance, you know, A all the way to H, that's half a mile.
It is. I mean, it's like we've had the 1 year of that experience when Caroline broke her ankle to get that sense of moving around the convention center and moving around the city as well. It's not conducive to a pleasant experience. And thankfully, they do their damnedest at CCI and within the convention center, but it is still incredibly difficult. But,
getting the shuttle, because there's a shuttle specifically for getting the disabled around the area. Although the little elevator, getting the wheelchair on the little elevator into their van freaked my little sister out. So, you know, and because she wasn't constrained to the wheelchair, she finally got out of the wheelchair. They lifted the wheelchair up and then she stepped up into it and then got back into the wheelchair. Because it just freaked her out that it was like moving and she was like, what is this? Halloween ride from hell. But you know, you had to call for them because we would do that. We would go up to like the mall or something like that. And then we'd have to call them and it would be, you know, 20, 30 minutes for them to show up, get you in. So when it comes to timing, you know, I mean, they do their best, but it's just the dearth of the population, how many people are there.
Yeah.
It just makes it difficult.
Sure.
But I love the ADA. Everyone at the ADA desk is amazing. So
absolutely. So yeah, the hotel apocalypse took place on Thursday. People find out what their allocations are. I believe as of, is it Tuesday?
Yeah, the 3rd is the first batch, and then the second batch will be on the 10th, I think. Yeah. The following Tuesday. And I will be on a cruise ship, so we'll see. Hopefully we get word this week, because I would much rather have to deal with it this week than while I'm on a cruise ship in Alaska.
Well, you see, this is the life of a traveler. You see, this is the we're getting a glimpse into this. So thanks for that, Kathy. Let's go through a couple of comments. Like Streeter P says, yeah, the next thing the next thing that is on people's list is the Ace
Parking. That's a whole other,
yeah,
that's a whole other thing too.
Absolutely. Toby's jumped in. If you carpool in with other people and have more than one key, trust one of those other people with that key, so that you're not the only one making that trip to the car to dump off those freebies. A good tip on that one. Absolutely.
That is good, yeah.
Indeed.
Yes.
And saying, my girlfriend is a self-described swag queen of con. First time I had to take some of her haul back to the car, I felt like a bureau. Yeah. I think we've all had that kind of experience at some point.
And those giant bags from Warner Brothers didn't help, because all of a sudden you're like, I could stick this in.
Yeah, I could just throw stuff in there. Yeah, that's the problem. That's the issue. Yeah.
Absolutely. But it's something that we're going to continue to keep a track on. Like I say, I'd love to see what the success has been. The success rate has been for people that have gone in for Hotel Apocalypse. So we'll find out certainly for the first batch as of Tuesday. We'll talk about that briefly on next week's show. But I want to wrap things up now. We want to thank Kathy and for Brandon for joining us on today's. Brandon, you say you want to come back and talk about eating in San Diego.
Sure. Hey, I'm a foodie. I'll be more than happy to talk about food. Sure.
I would be more than happy. I would be more than happy to dedicate a good half an hour of a show to the really, truly awful Chinese food in San Diego. Which I'm sorry, but you do right. Listen, you do Italian food well. You do seafood really well. You do obviously your American menu really well. Chinese, you just seem to kind of let yourself down, guys. I don't know what it is. There's something.
You just gotta drive a little further out. There's certain communities,
Yeah.
You gotta find where the Chinese and the Vietnamese live and eat at the restaurants they go to.
That's a very good point. And the English breakfast. Oh, listen, we could talk about how you do tea all day, so we'll just leave that alone. We'll leave that alone as well. But no, we'd love to have you back.
We don't do tea. We don't. I mean, we have some shops that do tea that do it well, but
we could listen. I'm gonna have to submit a panel on this.
And I saw comments. Someone said that they've had those bags break. Yes, I've had them break during the show. But you know what? You make it work, and you somehow configure it in a way that it works for the rest of the week, and you tie it up. You make it work.
Yeah,
so, I've done this as well. I've used the bag to sleep on one camper on one night. It was 2017, and it was one of the best night's sleep I've ever had in my life.
I love the cosplayers who have taken several bags and put them together for dresses and capes and all sorts of stuff. Yeah. Well, and I love the ones that they're now have the backpack, because those really long ones they dragged on the ground. I mean, I'm short. They dragged on the ground for me. So I loved when they turned them into a backpack.
Yeah, absolutely. So no, we're going to dive into all sorts of elements of San Diego Comic-Con over the course of the coming weeks. Do join us for another Road to San Diego next week. We're going to hopefully make it a little bit shorter and talk about and get an interview in next week as well. So it's going to be a bit of a packed episode. Hopefully you can join us. But it's been a pleasure to have Brandon. It's been a pleasure to have Kathy. Thank you so much indeed joining us. We'll start with Kathy. Ladies first. Can you talk about where people can find you and what you're up to? And certainly, if you are you thinking of? You're going to be? I'm guessing One Ring is going to be representing at San Diego.
Yeah,
You've got a busy year this year.
Yeah, I'm submitting a panel. Yeah, because Rings of Power is coming, and Amazon is going big, is what we've been hearing. And so they went big a few years ago with the circus one. They had a couple of series that came out. I mean, I just remember how Amazon suddenly just appeared, because Warner Brothers is usually like the big player.
Not anymore. Well, that's something that we're going to be talking about on another episode, because I personally feel that the mainstream studios have felt that they don't need to invest as much in San Diego anymore. But the streaming war, the streaming platforms, that's where the real battlefield is.
That is right now. Yeah.
That's where I think you're going to be seeing a lot of that kind of play on the floor. So Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon. Listen, if they want to throw
Paramount Plus.
Yeah. If they want to
Star Trek,
Halo.
Oh, yeah.
Halo.
Yeah. if they want to throw free laptops at us just to get our attention and to watch their shows, hey, pass us a laptop. We'll throw us AirPads.
No. Just give me a year subscription to their platform. That's what I want. I mean,
that first year when they did Paramount, it wasn't Paramount Plus then, was it? It was when they were launching.
It was the CBS All Access.
And it was 1 year. They were handing out those cards like confetti. Oh, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, because Star Trek came out. I mean, I waited till season 3 of Discovery before I jumped on, and I finally was like, I binged it, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm sold. And then Picard came along, and I was like, oh, stop. And now we're getting Stranger Universes or whatever the new one is.
Yeah.
With the old Captain Pike. So
yes, Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, Strange New Worlds. So okay.
So we're going to be talking about all of that in future episode. Indeed, Andrew Dickinson's making the prediction Disney Plus won't be there. D23 too close. We said that when D23 was the week before, and they went big at San Diego. So
I had a friend come out from Singapore who went to both of those. I mean, so I actually was doing his hotel for him at both locations. But on Twitter, I'm Cruising Kathy. So on Twitter, I'm Cruising Kathy. Although that is my everything web Twitter thing. I also have a There and Back Again, or it's actually just called Back Again, but it's the There and Back Again, which is a very Hobbit reference on Twitter. And so, and then of course the longring.net, which, And as a travel agent, I'm arranging a cruise to Middle Earth. Just want to throw that out there.
Whoa. Okay. If there's anywhere you want to go and visit in the world, it's New Zealand. What a beautiful part of the world that is.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and Brandon, where can people find you? I mean, your ident's right there in the banner right there.
Yeah. So Brandon Troy, host and co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. We do a lot of pop culture news, cons, things of that nature. I know you, Kathy, you were just talking about Star Trek. We just wrapped up the penultimate episode of season 2 of Picard. So we'll be wrapping that up.
I can't wait to see where it's going. I mean, it's like, okay, how is this going to end?
But yeah, we'll be wrapping that up next week. We have that show every Sunday. And then following Mother's Day weekend, we will get started on Strange New World. So be on the lookout for that. I will also be at Comic-Con, but there are cons, obviously prior to that. As a matter of fact, this weekend we have HBCU Con, which is Historically Black College Comic-Con, which is cool.
Ooh, that's awesome.
And nice. We have Awesome Con, of course, which is here at home in DC. So we have that going. That's coming up soon. And Shore Leave, which, speaking of Star Trek again,
Shore Leave is still a thing. I didn't know Shore Leave was still going.
Shore Leave and Farpoint is still a thing. Yeah,
those have been around forever.
Yeah.
I used to do creation cons way back in the day, because the OneRing.net, we partnered with them for a few years for doing Lord of the Rings conventions.
Gotcha.
Cool. So, but I used to like to hit some of those East Coast conventions.
Yeah, but yeah, for those shows, those Star Trek shows that I mentioned, we live stream it. We do a weekly show on Saturday just to talk about just regular pop culture news, just to kick the bucket, so to speak, of things that have happened over the week. So yeah,
highly right.
Pretty much it.
For myself, for my little corner of the internet, I will turn around and say, Movers and Shakers, highly recommended. If you are not following them, if you are not supporting them, if you're not subscribed, you're a mad and crazy fool, because they're excellent stuff. So listen, thank you so much indeed, Kathy. Thank you very much indeed, Brandon, for joining us. That's our show. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've enjoyed our little bit of a dive into the accommodation at San Diego. Obviously, all of this is going to evolve as the allocations go out for what we've been hearing from the aftermath of Hotel Apocalypse.
Yeah, pray for us on Tuesday. Pray for us on Tuesday.
Yeah, and then the week after, we're talking the second round as well, and that's how the dominoes start to line up, and we'll see how people's accommodation starts lining up for San Diego Comic-Con. We'll be doing another Road to Comic-Con next week. So do join us for another show, Talking Con, each and every Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. GMT. From myself and from Kathy and from Brandon, thank you so much indeed for joining us. Hopefully we'll see you next week for another show. And keep your eyes open on your social medias, because it looks like the Road to San Diego is well and truly off and running. We'll see you soon. Take care, everyone.
Stay safe.
Tell you what, I am going to jump back in very briefly, and I know that a whole bunch of people will have left by this point. We've still got a couple of people that are watching. Thank you so much indeed. But Into the Blue Mister is making a very good point. I really should have started off with this because I did promise myself I was going to make a mention. And then we dived into accommodation and I kind of got caught up on that. Leonard, before you go, a quick mention about Neil Adams. I'm going to grab it right now. There's a whole bunch of books I have in the house when it comes to Batman. As a Batman fan, long time Batman fan. But I've got this. This was just to hand. I've got a number of these. It's the Batman by Neil Adams book 2, which has just got a number of seminal stories in it, recolored. But I'm not going to be too much of a begrudge of that. It's like the Man of Bat, and I think the one that absolutely defined the Batman for myself, which is for a number of Batman fans, it is still a seminal story, which is of course Secret of the Waiting Graves. One of the first things I really got into when it came to Batman was a big hardback book. I think you can find it on eBay. It was kind of like a pocket history of Batman, and it had a couple of prose pieces on the history of Batman and on Bob Kane and Bill Finger and a number of the ways that it was all the evolution of the character. But then it did reprints of the entire stories inside, and Secret of Waiting Graves was in there, and that was where I started reading a comic and was truly invested in the mythos and in the characterization and the dynamic poses and the real energy that was being presented on the page. And that was Neil Adams. Denny O'Neil, who wrote Secret of Waiting Graves. And indeed, there's a whole bunch of stories from that period, which he also did as well. It was a case of a perfect storm, that real marriage of somebody who wanted to strip away all the campiness of the mid-60s Batman and really kind of energize the character again as the Dark Knight detective. If you look at those original strips of Batman when he first started, it was a very dark and sinister character. But for Denny's idea, he needed someone who would then encapsulate that real energy and muscular power of a man that has dedicated his life to fighting crime as the Batman. And he found that creative partner in Neil Adams. For myself, I came across Neil in real life when he came over for London Super Comic Con in 2015. It was my first press pass that I'd ever been given. I still have the lanyard, I still have the badge, because it was the first one that I was allowed to come and invited to for free to attend a con. Neil made me laugh because he was so blatantly commercial about his work. It was about, here's the money. You want to see my work? You want to buy my work? Here's the money. Give me the money. And there was a real sense at the time when I felt that it was a real kind of money grab. But then when you start investigating what his history was and the fights that he had in the industry for creators to not only have the rights to their characters, but also to have their due and to have the money come back in, which they were earned, that they were due. And Neil was an absolute fighter for that, not just for himself, but for many of the creators. And there are many creators out there who are indebted to him for their background, for their ability to have a financial security. Neil Adams provided that for people, for a whole host of people. When we talk about the possible unionization, or as someone put it, I think it was Paul Levitz, who in his tribute this week talked about a potential guild for cartoonists and for creators. If there was anybody who would have been absolutely instrumental in making that happen, it was Neil Adams. He was a fighter for his industry, for his art, and for the art of anybody that wants to get into comics. For that, for the substantial career he had, for his evolution, he continued. If you followed him on Facebook, you saw him regularly pop up with his live streams. He was getting into all of that. He was a man in his stride, which makes his passing even more bitter, because he was absolutely not done. He was a force of nature back in the day. He was a force of nature 2 years ago. He was a force of nature 2 weeks ago. He was a force of nature till the day, unfortunately, he passed. And from myself and from anybody who loves Batman when he's taken not seriously, because Neil Adams' Batman was never too serious, earnestly, that doesn't want to see potential squandered, not only of the characters that he was drawing, but the industry that he loved. For that, Neil Adams was an absolute fighter. And all we can do is say, on behalf of myself and all the fans of Batman over the years, Neil, we never know what we're going to miss until it's gone. And my God, we're going to miss you. Rest in peace, sir.